This is Scott from Face to Face, and I'm blowing it up on Capital Chaos TV.
You are number 6.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is your buddy Mean Gene at Aftershock 2016 up here in Sacramento, and we have the pleasure of talking to Scott from Face to Face. How you doing?
Doing great. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you as well, man. Thanks for the time.
My pleasure.
And you've been in the band, we were just talking, since 95?
95, yeah.
And you guys are out of Victorville? Or
The band originated in Victorville. I never lived in Victorville, but I joined the band early enough to where we were still rehearsing out at Chad's grandma's house up in Victorville.
Nice.
So, I would always be up there. I spent so much time up there. I know all the early crowd friends, and I replaced a formidable bass player named Matt Riddle, who went on to be in the band. No use for a name.
Okay.
He's a great dude and a great friend, but he's the guy I took over for. He was on the first two records, and I took over for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, coming fast forward to 2016, how's the punk scene changed? What are you seeing?
Everything changes.
Yeah.
We're talking about this band has been around for 25 years, and scenes change on a dime in months. So compound that by decades, and I think about the difference between 1960 and 1980.
Yeah.
That's not even as long as this band has now been together.
Correct.
And though the telescopic nature of the evolution of pop culture makes the demarcation lines harder to spot, necessarily, they're still there, and they're probably more pronounced and obvious to younger people anyway. So I might not even be the right guy to ask, really? Because when you're young and you're like, oh, I dig Judas Priest, and then some old dude's like, oh, you should go check out Wishbone Ash, and you're like, no, not my thing. Yeah. So what sets the line for people about what they're into or not is sometimes hard to spot, but it's always there. Yeah. So yeah, the punk scene is changing. I can't say I know what the punk scene is anymore. Okay. I just know my band, and we're friends, and we do the music we do. It's classified as what it is, and I've got lots of friends in other bands that are considered punk, and some aren't, but that's an odd thing, because I remember years ago when there were still record stores, finding the Sex Pistols record in the pop rock soul section, even though the store had a punk rock section. And I was so angered and incensed because I felt like, because I'm an older dude, and like I discovered the Sex Pistols back in '77 as a kid, and that is why most people know the word punk rock came from that, even though the 70s punk explosion out of England had its history in American bands like the Ramones and Iggy and the Stooges, which was simply redoing the more garage rock era of the 60s and early Stones and stuff like that. The medicine ball just keeps kind of getting passed back and forth, but the identity of punk, when mohawks and bondage wear and just the word punk itself, that really originated in the 70s, and I think it's not right to try and take the true history away. You can say we've changed and added and evolved, but don't pretend that wasn't punk. Yeah. I don't know what kind of rant I just went on, and I apologize.
That was great, man. That was great. I mean, has the crowds changed, obviously, in 25 years? Sure. You get the young and the new come in now to support you guys?
What? Okay, well, here's the thing. We never, unlike a lot of the bands, like, your Green Days and Offsprings that had larger radio, video, and magazine presence, we personally never had much of that. We continue to be a very ground-level DIY band. So a lot of our crowd are now older. When I first joined the band, it was all sweaty boys beating the crap out of each other. Almost cussed. No, that's what you say. Beating the shit out of each other. And everyone's gotten older. They've become tempered, mellowed. They're either in their late 30s or even 40s now. They just want to stand and have a beer and dig the tunes. We still get the rowdy crowds. But not as often, and we still get younger people, but maybe not to the degree that some of the bands that had, a lot of more kind of commercial success during that whole 90s explosion era might have. Yeah. Not begrudgingly, I'm cool with whatever. Yeah. I just love playing music. Yeah. And my band, the Face guys, they're my best friends, so cool. Love it.